All right, it is 6:02, and I'm calling this meeting of the Environmental and Natural Resources Commission to order. The first item on the agenda is roll call. Commissioner Schneiderman.
Here.
Commissioner Lates.
Here.
Chair Saunders Pierce, myself, present. Commissioner Bryan.
Here.
Commissioner Gill.
Present.
And Commissioner Cryer is absent, and Commissioner Redmond is absent. Okay, the next item is the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions from staff?
No staff changes.
Okay, all in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
Right.
All in favor?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Oh, thank you. I was like,
Make a
yeah.
motion first, make a motion to approve the agenda. So, thank you very much. So we have a motion by Commissioner Lates,
I'll second that.
seconded by Gill. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I'm just so excited to get into our new business tonight. So. Let's see. So now we have the approval of our minutes. Let's see here. We have the minutes from our May 13th, 2026 meeting. Are there any comments or changes on the minutes?
I will abstain because I was not present.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as written?
I'll make a motion to approve minutes as written.
Second.
Okay, motion by Brian, seconded by Lates. Motion carries. Oh, no. All in favor?
There we go.
Aye.
Thank you. I'm just really too
You're
excited.
really excited.
I'm really excited tonight.
Well, I know.
Let's go.
We all like trash talk, right?
Yeah, there you go. So, I swear by the end of the calendar year, I'll have this figured out. So, yeah, and then I'll be done. Yeah. Okay, so I believe that now brings us to what I've been eagerly trying to advance us through the agenda for our returning business, the residential recycling and trash RFP. Trash talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. So I do have a short presentation here for you. Well, it's not short. I just, I like talking trash too. So let's stretch this out a bit here, but this is exciting. We will be looking at a new program here for our trash and recycling. The recycling contract with Tennis Sanitation does cover residential single and multi-dwelling recycling collection, and that contract ends June 30 of 2027. So we're a year away from the end of that contract. And then the trash contract is also in line with that timing as the recycling contract. But we do work with Republic Services for trash hauling, but they collect for residential single-dwelling trash collection only, not the multifamily. They also offer yard waste collection at a subscription rate, and then also bulky item collection for a per-item fee that they'll pick up at the curb. And that contract, again, as I indicated, ends June 30th, 2027. So right now is the perfect time to start looking at our new contract, and we are proposing an RFP to go out to haulers so that they can propose on these contracts. So it is quite a process to put together an RFP, but we've done this before. So we're going to use our previous RFP that went out in 2019 as a template. But the reason for this request for proposal, rather than just negotiating extensions to the contract, is we did extend the contracts for both Tennis and Republic Services 2 years ago. So what we're on right now is an extended contract. So we want to make sure that we're getting competitive proposals, not just minor tweaks to the system, because when you go out for proposals, you can also get some major improvements to your system and competitive pricing. And, making sure that we're looking at all options, which would include bundling the contracts. Since the city has organized its trash hauling in 2012, we have had separate trash and recycling contracts. It's just kind of the way it's played out over the years with the pricing that has come in. But when we go out for an RFP, we'll offer that opportunity to bundle the contracts and see what kind of options we get there. And then Ramsey County, they offer Public Entities Solid Waste Technical Assistance Program to all cities in the county. And this offers us the ability to work with their solid waste consultants, both infrastructure and environment, for free as part of our participation in the SCORE grant and recycling program and so forth. So they cover the cost of that technical assistance, and we're working with FOTH to draft the RFP, and then they'll also do financial analysis of the proposals that come in. So that's a big benefit to the city of Maplewood being part of that SCORE grant process. And then, as you may recall from our last meeting, we're putting together a proposal review committee, which will include 2 of our environmental commissioners here. And at your last meeting, Commissioner Lates and Saunders Pierce were appointed to serve on that committee, which would meet a few times to review those proposals along with city staff, county staff, and then FOTH, the consultant. And those reviews will probably take place sometime in September, and I have some proposed dates further on in this presentation. So let's dive into what we're going to see on this request for proposal. So the document itself includes the general body of the information, which includes the number of trash and recycling, collection routes we currently have. You know, it gives the haulers all those kind of details that currently the city of Maplewood owns our trash carts, and the hauler would have to manage those carts. It talks about things like the routes, their neighborhood-specific routes from Monday through Friday, you know, so that they know what they're getting into and know what to bid on. And then it also includes several forms and attachments, which would include a pricing worksheet where the haulers would put down their exact pricing for collection per cart, you know, for the yard waste, and so on and so forth. And then finally, it will include draft contracts. So we did this in 2019, where we actually included what a possible contract might look like. And so what we would place in here would be something similar to what we already have, with the with the modifications that we discuss here tonight, which would be options. So that's also helpful for haulers as they're bidding on our city's trash and recycling. So in that document, the body portion, which you have a copy of, a draft in your staff report, we didn't have time to complete the attachments, which again include that price worksheet and then the 2 contracts, but you have the actual draft of the body in your staff report for review. And so we're looking for 3 alternatives that a hauler can place a proposal. So first, again, it would be that bundled recycling and trash, so one hauler to take over both of those. And there's, you know, pros and cons for doing such a thing. One of the pros might be communication. When you have one hauler, it's easier for them to communicate to our residents what's going on with the trash and hauling system. We had a few situations, maybe like last year, 2 years ago, where the trash was delayed by one day because of concerns over the weather, but yet the recycling hauler continued to collect. So right now, the only hauler that has the ability to do like a call them all to the residents is Republic Services. So Republic Services relayed messages that, you know, your trash is being delayed. But then, of course, residents just assumed that, well, if trash is delayed, the recycling is delayed. So then there was a lot of missed collections, and so that's one benefit. Another might be more efficiencies, you know, in routing and things of that nature, and maybe better pricing too. And then the alternate 2 is just the trash only, and alternate 3 is just recycling only, similar to what we have in our current contracts. And then in our discussions with the city council and with our environmental commission here, we determined that we'd like to propose a 5-year contract rather than 3. That's apparently the industry standard. Currently what we're seeing is proposals coming in at 3 and 5 years, so we'd like to make this a 5-year contract, locking in those prices for 5 years. So I thought I would focus on the things that would change in the RFP for the new contracts. And so we'll start with the recycling. So first and foremost, the biggest change would be that the city of Maplewood would own the recycling carts. And we did hear strong support for this with our city council as well as our environmental commission. And as you recall, the county offers a grant to cover up to 50% of those carts, which we estimate to be about $600,000 some or more, you know, because we have about 11,000 carts out there now, and then in addition, multifamily carts and also multifamily dumpsters. But it's a great opportunity to take advantage of that grant program that the county has to cover half the cost. And then it is still yet to be determined how the city funds the remaining portion of the carts. In 2012, when we purchased trash carts, we took out a utility bond and then recouped the cost of that bond by a 75-cent per household per month trash cart fee, which the city still collects as part of the trash program, and we use those funds now to manage our carts and purchase new carts, things of that nature. So that's the biggest change with the recycling. I will mention that we did attempt to do this in 2019, but we had one hauler, one contractor who came in and proposed to own their own carts, and that was Tennis Sanitation, because of course they already have the carts rolled out here, and they gave such reduced pricing that the city eventually just took that option and never bought those carts. So could see something like that happen again, but this is how we're proposing. And then a value add, we like to call it, is currently Tennis Sanitation works with a subcontractor to collect textiles. So you can place your reusable clothes or shoes in a bag and place it on top of your cart and label it linens. And then the driver will just put it in the cab and then bring it back, and they store it just for a short period of time until they have enough to deliver to Simple Cycle, I believe is who they're still subcontracting with. But we'd like to see some options for recycling non-reusable textiles. I do get this question quite a bit, you know, what do I do with an old bed sheet that probably no one wants, you know? And so, of course, there are opportunities to recycle those and make them into something that picks up oil or, you know, rags or whatnot. So we'd like to see some opportunities there for more reuse and recycling. And then 2 options, which is what we're calling it, is a contractor can, number 1, propose to do the billing for the recycling. Currently, the city adds the recycling fee to the St. Paul Regional Water Services bill because we don't do utility billing. We add that fee in addition to 2 other fees, city fees, which is stormwater fee and environmental utility fee, which is stormwater management, and then the sanitary sewer fee. So those three fees are added to your water bill. And it can get rather confusing, trying to explain to a new homeowner, you know, how you get your bills and how you pay for recycling and trash, and, because the hauler currently, for trash hauling, does the billing just for the trash. So we'd like to see the possibility of adding recycling as a billing option, but that again would only work if we had a combined contract, because we don't foresee just a recycling-only contractor, you know, kind of overhauling our current system as it is. And then finally, to meet our climate mitigation and greenhouse gas reduction goals, we'd like to see what kind of opportunities there are out there for reducing those greenhouse gases with alternative fuels for their trucks. We'll see if there's any opportunities. And then we can rate that too. We can rank that higher, and that's something we're also going to talk about here, is how we look at the proposals and how we actually rate them. So that's the recycling, and I'll just pause. I don't want to just keep talking. Let me know if you have any questions and stop me as we go.
Yeah, I was just kind of looking to see where recycling came, because I've looked at this a lot. But the non-reusable textiles, are you, I've looked at their fact sheet multiple times, I was trying to pull it up, but from my understanding, like, first, best leftover items can be reused and for clothing, say, but then other linens are recycled for secondhand usually. Am I describing?
Like you were describing, isn't that currently what's being offered, or were you saying that we're looking to expand those recycling opportunities? From my understanding, there's only like 10% of that doesn't actually get reused.
Currently, they only take reusable. So we'd like to expand.
Okay. But reusable in other ways than just like rewearing the clothing.
Oh, so the best and highest use would be to use it for what it already is, right?
Yeah, mhm.
Clothing. And then if it's a shirt that has a bunch of, I don't know, it's just all ratty-tatty and no one wants to wear it anymore, you know, what do you do with those linens? And so we're looking for some options for recycling those into whatever they get recycled to.
And from my understanding, I thought they already did that through the simpler recycling already.
You know, that could be through the subcontractor, but
Okay.
what Tennis has been promoting and doing is just picking up the reusable portion. Now, I don't know where that change came into place, because ever since they had the contract, they've always been subcontracting with, but currently that's how they're promoting, and in our like solid waste guide, we only take reusable clothes.
Gotcha. Okay. That's
Yeah.
helpful. Thank you.
So Simple Cycle, they might do that type of recycling, but maybe there's not much of a market for it, and Tennis, you know, who knows exactly why Tennis is only taking the reusable portion at this time.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
Yeah, so we want clarification that they will recycle the remaining linens.
Yeah. Thank you.
So then we'll move on to trash, and we'll look at some of the changes we'd like to see there based on your comments and the council's comments, and just some issues that we've seen over the years. First and foremost, the one thing that this commission spent quite a bit of time on during this last meeting was the yard waste, and determining whether that should be an opt-in, if everyone, if yard waste should be rolled out to all single-family homes, and then also the billing issues with currently Republic Services only billing for the season, regardless if you opt in mid, July or the beginning of April when it starts. Everyone has to pay the same price, and there's no prorating and there's no monthly billing. So I discussed this with Foth, And they thought that the most practical would be a monthly billing type system rather than like a prorated. So we're gonna write it into the RFP that way, that the yard waste, based on comments we've received, that, there's probably, a lot of people don't have room in their garage for another cart. There could be some households that, they just don't feel the need to have yard waste, or maybe don't want to pay for it as part of their overall system because they're perfectly fine. They use backyard composting and so on and so forth. So with that said, proposing to have an opt-in system, once again, but with monthly yard waste billing. And then a value add would be taking a look at our bulky item collection. Right now, again, it's a per item system, and the rates range from $10.75 up to $37. And likely a refrigerator or something like that would cost $37, which doesn't sound too bad. But they also, of course, add the solid waste fee, which is, almost 35% plus the environmental fee, those two combined. So that adds up, and it is a nice convenience to just be able to put it out at the curb, have them add it to your bill, and then you could pay later. But we'd like to see some alternative methods for how we handle bulky items. And, that could be allowing residents to have up to 2 or 3 bulky items for free each year, and then lumping that into the overall cost of trash and recycling, or trash, as is, depending on the contract. And there's other opportunities too. So we're looking for some creative solutions here to help offset, what we're doing at our spring cleanup with the drop-off. And of course, that's the beauty of going out for an RFP. You can get new types of proposals, new systems you didn't even think of. And then finally, that same option to reduce greenhouse gas emissions with the use of alternative fuels for their trucks. So here we are on the evaluation criteria that we will have written into the actual RFP. And so the contractors review this and say, ooh, looks like their main concern is economics. So we got to make sure whatever we're proposing, we got to keep the prices low, So they're going to look at this and see how we're ranking the proposals. So this is something I'd really appreciate your feedback on. So this is from the 2019 RFP, and I think we've done this in previous ones as well. It pretty much followed this exact same criteria. I'm not sure about the order. But the one thing that I was proposing to remove was education, because what we've seen with the 2 haulers is that really the city does the education, because it's very confusing to get something from recycling that looks one way and then something from our trash hauler that looks another way. And it was easier for the city. Right now, what we do is, the one thing is we design a yearly solid waste guide, and the haulers, assist with that. And then we actually bill them for the design, printing, and mailing of that. So the haulers are paying for that, but the city is the one kind of controlling the message. So I would propose to leave that out. Years ago, when we didn't have organized trash hauling and we only had the organized recycling, we had a hauler that did wonderful education and outreach, and the city didn't have to do anything. But now that we have the 2 haulers, it really is quite confusing. Unless we have a bundled contract, in which case, still I think with our communications team and the way the city works, we'd like to have, more of a say in what goes out.
If you removed like education largely from the RFP, would you still be able to control or have some, say, input on, say, those sticky reminders that they put on the bins for folks who aren't following things? Like I know at the annual review, we talked about like having a QR code and list of acceptable items. I'm sure a hauler would be open to hearing the city's preferences and what would like to be on there, but as long as it's like included in a contract, I think that would be helpful. But understand that, yes, education largely, it sounds like, would be better to continue on
That's a
current
very good
trends.
point. So with the education tags, there really isn't anything in our contract that requires that they do that. We had just required this years ago in a work plan, and they just kind of kept it up. So we'll have to make sure we have some language in there about these education tags and kind of what type of education they really should be doing as part of the contract. So that's a very good point. But what this is saying is, when the proposal review committee ranks it, we're not going to rank the education piece in the proposals.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would concur. We certainly want to have something in the RFP so that there's clarity about the scope and having some, stickers or labels or what have you. But I don't see education as a criteria for reviewing the proposals as a really compelling factor. And I know you had brought this up a few minutes ago when you were going through the options, and maybe this is a good time to bring it up since we're talking about criteria, but I'm very favorable to elevating the option for alternative fuels as part of that evaluation criteria. I don't really know if that's like how that would work in the actual document itself, but I think that looking through the way the RFP is drafted, I was first of all very pleased to see that option in there, of course, but it struck me that it didn't really represent, I think, maybe potentially what the city's priorities might be about that over the next 5 years, particularly as we start to embark on the climate mitigation plan and the steps we can do to reduce greenhouse gases and things like that. So that would just be a point of discussion for maybe at the end of the staff presentation here, or I don't know if other commissioners want to debate that or just wait a little bit.
I think a lot of the kind of these questions and things can be ironed out a little bit in that has there been a rubric developed on how you're going to be assessing each of these bullet points? Because something like the environmental bullet point, that could be a factor in that assessment of the alternative fuels for things. So how are you going to be ranking all of these categories? Is there that rubric that's been made?
Very good point. I was just thinking that in the evaluation criteria, we shouldn't just say a word. We should outline a few details on what that means. And with the environmental, if we're looking at that and scoring higher, if they help the city of Maplewood meet its climate mitigation plan goals of reducing greenhouse gas emissions, outlining that in that criteria, I think that's good. An example, when we first organized trash hauling in 2012, we had environmental as a qualification. And we did get, at that time, even back then, one of the haulers had proposed using all compressed natural gas vehicles, which at the time was a more clean option than diesel. And but their proposal was just so expensive that overall the economics weighed out over that.
I suspect it would be very, very, very expensive for a hauling company to change out their fleet to meet one city's needs. I mean, they're going to be servicing multiple areas. So within their plan, they will at least have like, hey, we don't have this now, but we are working and adding to So we just need to find a way that we can acknowledge that this may be something they can't provide now, but that they're working towards.
I have talked to Republic Services about, what they're doing, and they have rolled out electric trash trucks in the Midwest here. They have them down south, but it's the weather that apparently is holding them back. So I know they're out there. We'll see. Okay, good points.
Just one other comment, just on the evaluation criteria as a whole. I agree that having some more details on each of the points would be helpful to know what might be included in those, particularly number 2, just because I'm having a hard time understanding, thinking about what proposal content and overall responsiveness would be if proposal content might be included in some of the other categories. So it'd be helpful to get some more details on that,
Yeah.
or to provide those anyway in the RFP.
Sometimes you might get a proposal that's like 3 pages long, and you're like, what? So, it's not very responsive. So you would rank them low, but I agree. What does it mean, really? And then safety. This was especially a concern noted by one of our council members. We had some concerns with a tour at one of the facilities that it didn't seem as if they were following some of the safety protocol. So ensuring that, their workers are safe and that our residents are safe as these trucks are driving around, that's very important. And what do you think about how they're numbered? Do you find that one should be bumped up, moved down?
Well, I think no matter what, the most important thing is how much it's going to cost. So I think having the economic component being the priority is fine. If we're looking at trying to get more of an emphasis on meeting our climate mitigation goals, maybe moving that one up, I'm not sure to what position, but sliding that up within the ranking wouldn't hurt. But it also depends on if we do have a rubric and evaluation criteria. That may also even out some of the, how you're looking at everything.
Yeah, I would agree. I just kind of echo that. If this ranking criteria is coming back to the group, I think it would be helpful to have the bullet points associated with each of them to establish the actual rankings.
More detail? Yeah.
And
I
then,
think especially around the proposal content, overall responsiveness, and qualifications, because those aren't self-explanatory. They're a little vague.
Yeah.
and then I know we've just been talking broadly about just more information, but I know this is getting kind of in the weeds, but I know some haulers, since they have their own MRF, are able to take more recyclable items. I do see a benefit in that, giving Maplewood residents more opportunity to increase their recyclable material, but also understanding that some haulers won't be able to provide that service, or that level of recycling.
Oh, I should mention, the county would really like to see, and it's somewhere in the RFP here, I guess it didn't identify it as, I forgot, as a value add, but we're looking for, in the bulky items collection, as well as, I guess, recycling, would be, more reuse options or recycle options, because, as an example, with bulky items, Republic Services is collecting, let's say, a mattress, but I'm not sure that that mattress is being recycled. I think it's just going to the trash. To the Recycling and Energy Center. And when we do our spring cleanup, we work with Second Chance Recycling, and all components of the mattress is recycled. So we'd like to see more recycling and reuse options for the bulky items, as well as, looking at any kind of new markets there are out there for recyclable materials.
When the current contract was reviewed and negotiated, did Tennis have any offering of bulky item pickup for, like, if it's something big and metal that's clearly recyclable, is that an option?
Well, the bulky item was written into the trash contract. So Tennis hasn't, they don't have a contract for bulky item collection. But they have pretty expanded materials list. They do include pieces of metal, like you can put a metal pan in your recycling bin, whereas a lot of other haulers don't take that. But if it doesn't fit in your cart, it's nothing that Tennis could pick up as part of their current contract.
So if I may, one more item on the criteria, and I think Commissioner Bryan was getting to this. I just want to kind of support the perspective. In my opinion, I think it would be beneficial to have a criteria where environmental is elevated. I would propose it would be elevated above safety, because I don't think that safety as a criteria is really going to be a distinguishing factor for selection the way environmental might be. So safety is certainly important. Safety, we certainly want to address that in the criteria and in the review. But I think I would anticipate that it would be harder to differentiate between bidders based on safety versus their ability to meet the environmental component.
Yeah, I'd just kind of like to build onto that. I think maybe putting safety underneath qualifications. I think safety is inherently something we would expect and require of a contractor. And then maybe, because I don't think any hauler is going to put on their proposal that any issues that they've had with safety, either on site or towards residents. So maybe it'd be like a past experiences thing, assuming that the council member that raised concerns with safety on a specific site was a specific hauler. Maybe separate them if safety is concerned, being kind of a sub-ranking underneath an existing criteria like qualifications.
Yes, agree. So we're looking at these criteria, adding more detail, and then changing the rankings. So we're thinking safety would be last, and environmental would be bumped up somewhere, maybe above, right after proposal content.
And I was even kind of saying maybe eliminate safety as a large criteria as a whole.
Okay.
I think it's just implied, right? Including it within the qualifications section, and obviously
Oh, I see what you're saying.
leave that to
As a
you.
descriptor.
Yeah. We want folks to be driving safely. We want them to be performing their work safely on site. And I don't think we're gonna, to your point, I don't think we'll be able to suss that out just from a proposal.
I see, okay.
I don't know if I'm, and this is just working in industry, if I don't know if the same is true for haulers, but there are, standard safety practices that they could put in their proposals to talk about, like, how are we continuing to educate our drivers and make sure they're staying safe? How are we, following up on any accidents or issues we have, or how would we, what training programs do we have on our sites? So I do think there are things that they could be including that we would probably want to see. I don't know the details from a trash or recycling hauler perspective, but
That's a good point.
They will have some safety plan in place, and it could just be that you asked for that to be included.
Yeah, that's fair.
True, but as you're making your decision on which hauler to choose, you kind of want to see, you want to see some of those, what they're doing. I think the big concern was at this particular MRF and how materials were being processed.
With the 2019 RFP evaluation, how did, you'd said that you had included education and removed that from this list, but overall, how did you guys evaluate the criteria? I mean, was there some sort of a framework that you were following, or was it just going on your gut feeling?
That seems like a long time ago. But I do know that 2019 you weren't?
I wasn't here.
I guess I,
Commissioner Redmond.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was here, so then I better remember. Well, each person on the review committee can utilize that ranking score how they best, interpret it. So it's not an exact science. I mean, and you could be discussing the proposal with the group and realize that you kind of misread something, or maybe you didn't take that into consideration. Then all of a sudden, you're bumping up your whatever economics more than, so it's kind of a fluid thing that moves a bit as you continue to review the proposals. But it's the best system and the fairest system to have everyone, looking at the same importance and ranking, so forth.
Within the bid, are these different categories known by the various haulers, so at least they are able to really emphasize the points that we're looking for?
Yes, so this will be in the,
This will be included in the RFP?
exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Then I wanted to identify the schedule. All of a sudden, things are coming up real quick here. But, so this is really your only chance to review the RFP draft. And I apologize, we didn't have it all buttoned up yet, but I really appreciate your feedback on everything. And this does go to our city council, June 22nd, and they'll review the RFP document and then hopefully approve that document and then authorize the release of that. And then we hope to release the RFP July 8th after the holiday, and then give haulers 6 weeks in which to draft their proposals. And in between there, we'll have, and I didn't add the dates, but we have some dates for when they can submit questions and when the city would get back to them with the responses and so forth. And then the highlighted information in red has to do with the proposal review committee. So we have some proposed dates there, but we would distribute those proposals end of August and then start those meetings. Currently, we're looking at possibly 4. That could change. But it would be, I think those are on Wednesdays, and we don't have a time yet. I know most commissioners work evenings, daytimes, so we'll work around your schedules and come up with something that works for all of us. And then we hope to bring this to the council October 12th so we can get authorization of the rankings and then start our negotiations. And we have those dates that the council might look at the final contracts. We hope to have this wrapped up by the end of the year so that we're able to start implementing the contract, which would include the purchase of those recycling carts, and then so that we're ready for the start of the new contract July 1st. Any concerns with that schedule or questions?
I don't have any concerns or questions.
So I know it's a big document, a lot to read. I just kind of wanted to dive into the areas that were changing mostly and get your comments and feedback on that. So I have what I need unless you have additional questions or comments. Thank you.
All right, well, I don't see any other comments coming forward from the commissioners. Thanks, everyone, for that really helpful input to staff. As we know, when I started the meeting, I'm very excited about this. So, no, I think we're very well positioned. And I know it's a bit of a compressed schedule through the fall, but I think we can certainly see that come to fruition. I think that, so that's an information item. We're not taking action on that at this point, so I think that moves us on to the next item in our agenda, which is new business, which I don't believe we have any tonight. Okay. Visitor presentations, we don't have any visitor presentations tonight. Commissioner presentations, are there any updates from commissioners? Okay. Looks like we are going to move to the staff presentations for the next item, and city programs and events.
Thank you. I thought it'd be fun to do a recap of Waterfest, which was on May 30th. So thank you so much to the commissioners who assisted in creating the booth and then covered the booth during the event, particularly Commissioner Bryan, who put together the poster board with all the educational information, and great suggestion, Commissioner Gill, on utilizing the Adopt-A-Drain program, and they were great to work with. We just picked up their material, and as you saw, because I see we had a special guest out there, Commissioner Gill and his son, having fun at the event. We had that beanbag toss, so that's a hit too. So maybe one of our commissioners can kind of spotlight how they felt about the event.
No, I think it went really well, and again, thank you for coordinating the pickup and everything on those display items.
I agree. I'll just add, I thought the topic was a great one to discuss with residents, and we got a lot of, at least in the afternoon, we got a lot of good back and forth, and definitely opened some people's eyes on what happens with the water going down the drains and the storm drains. So definitely it was a good outreach.
We, of course, coordinated with the Friends of Maplewood Nature, who've had a booth there as well. And I think this year they had some challenges getting volunteers for the booth, and then they weren't as prepared as maybe they'd like to be. And I'm on their email chain for when they do their board meetings and so forth. And I think they mentioned maybe they wouldn't do this next year because they thought that their booth wasn't as well attended. But I don't know, maybe we could coordinate more closely with them so it's not like two separate things. I don't know. We love to have them participate.
Yeah, they've been a great partner.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
Well, we should continue to work and reach out with them. Just sometimes it's always hard to create a dual program that flows together, and they can just, they're a good group of people. They've got a lot of stuff, and they can do their own, and we're happy to sit next to them. But we don't always, we can work together, but we don't have to have the same thing, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I was always pushing that. You got to match our theme.
They don't have to match us. If it's just easier for them to pull something else and work with other resources that they're comfortable working with.
I think maybe it'd be easier for them just to have volunteers show up at our booth, with their Friends of Maplewood Nature tags, and I think that's kind of what I was hearing. Next year, oh, I did just get an email from the organizer, and, well, she was very appreciative of all of our efforts, and she also announced next year's date, which I think is June 5th. June this year. First Saturday in June. And then moving on to Celebrate Summer, the City of Maplewood has been hosting these events, usually 3 to 4, what we call Celebrate Summer events throughout our city parks. And the first one is held at Afton Heights Park. And our park manager, Audra Robbins, had mentioned perhaps, because they were trying to come up with a date for it, and this was the available date for them, was this July 8th date, which is our commission meeting, and she suggested perhaps the commission, which the park commission does all the time when they have these events, in lieu of an actual meeting, to actually, do some education and outreach at the event. So that is what we are proposing for July 8th. Let me know your thoughts on, well, it's too late, that's what we're doing. You don't, but I would like some comments on the type of outreach we do.
I seem to recall at our last meeting, we might have, when we talked about the calendar, I think we did talk about that trade-off between a commission meeting and attending one of these and doing some outreach, so.
It's a bit of a cop-out, but it's easy and I can throw something together on just pollinator activities. Kids pollinator activities. It's super simple and I've got tons of materials that I can pull from.
That's great. I did want to mention that next to us, there'll be, let's see, Ramsey County. They are doing a push for education and outreach this year to get participation up in the food scrap program. So they'll be there, and I am always trying to match booths. And I said, well, maybe we could compliment you somehow, but they have like a spinning wheel game and some other fun stuff for kids, and then, of course, probably handing out those food scrap kits, trying to educate people on how easy it is to recycle food scraps and just place that durable compostable bag in your trash. So they'll be there. And then, we did have the goal, your commission, of doing education and outreach on stormwater management or some sort of climate action, which, of course, helping our pollinators is important to our.
I don't necessarily know. It's something I know I can throw together with minimal materials and minimal time, which is, July 8th is 18 days from now.
Wow. So I was thinking we could use the same booth material we had for Waterfest.
We could,
Yeah.
if you
And
want
I
to do
did
that.
Ask Adopt a Drain if we could utilize their materials.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, we
So
can
we could
just
do
when
that. Or, yeah, it is right around the corner, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, no, I'm just my thinking is go with something that doesn't require a ton of effort to put together, and if we can get those adopted drain materials again, cornhole's a great summer activity. So, yeah,
Although I think, I was going to ask this, I think as part of the games in the Celebrate Summer, they have like 20 of those cornhole games set up. So they'll walk by our little mini cornhole and go, I'm not playing that. So maybe there's another game we can come up with for the kids.
well, see, the thing is that all those 20 other cornhole games are going to be played by families, and they're going to want, and somebody's going to want to play cornhole. It's cornhole.
Right. And ours is way more fun because it has pictures of trash and pet waste on it.
I think they have a few other games available, so maybe just inquire. But I know they might have had at one point, like a Plinko,
Blinko.
I think.
Ooh.
Would be good.
It's all booths are starting to meld together in my mind, but I know I'm thinking at like the state fair, they have a lot of other stuff, like other games there. I don't know if they give those out or if those are just like special state fair things that they bring, but they have a lot of games at their booth. So,
Check that out.
Also, pollinators, I think, is a great idea, too. Very, very timely things each.
We have a couple other Celebrate Summer events coming up, so we can focus on other items, but maybe for this one, it would be best to just kind of stick with what we have in place right now. But thank you for offering that on the pollinators. So, at any rate,
Also actually do, if we can't get cornhole, we could do that kids pool with a bunch of stuff in it and fishing out.
yes.
Fishing out the trash.
Yeah, we were contemplating putting together a game on our own where we filled up a kiddie pool with water and had just different things floating in there, and the kids would have to pull out the items that shouldn't be in the pond, you know? That would be fun.
Fish in there,
Real ones?
Crackers are the actual thing.
real ones.
Yeah, and what do we do with them?
Yeah, that's a good question.
But,
Take them to the farm.
Do not put them in a pond. All right, well, great ideas. I will follow up with the date and see if you have any other comments or feedback.
so would you then also want to duplicate that for the second summer event?
And now that one is not during an environmental commission meeting, so when we get to our schedule here, our calendar, I was going to ask you how you wanted to handle the August meeting, but I'll get to that in a moment. So this advertises just the next two, and then there's also another one, which is the Friday fireworks, which I'll go into also. All right, so thanks for your comments on our booth. We'll continue with the Adopt a Drain theme, see if there's a different kind of game, and if not, maybe create that pool idea. Thank you. So I wanted to update you on Monday night's city council meeting, and Chair Saunders Pierce was there, so perhaps you could just give a briefing on our Environmental and Natural Resources Commission annual report?
Yeah, absolutely. It was, the annual report was focused on a few things. It was highlighting the 3 wetland buffer variance reviews that we did. And then we also had talked about the education and outreach opportunities that we had. And I think there was something else that I can't remember quite immediately off the top of my head. What I remember more than anything was what preceded our annual report was the Parks and Recreation Commission annual report. And the gentleman there, the chair, I believe, was wearing the new logo wear that Commissioner Lates has tonight with the city of Maplewood. And I had the same logo wear as well. And so that, in particular, the city manager seemed to be very pleased that the logo wear that was given as a token of appreciation for the service of the commissioners was being used. So that struck me. But the annual report itself, I do want to say the staff report in the packet was very comprehensive. The kind of the highlights of the bullets, if you will, highlighting our work was short and sweet, focus on those things I mentioned. And then we also had highlighted the tours that we went on to the Ramsey County Environmental Center and the Capital Region Watershed District. And then we emphasized the goals for 2026, in particular the climate mitigation plan implementation, which was on the agenda for that evening, and then the trash and recycling RFP. So yeah, I thought it was a good report out, and the city council seemed quite pleased with the work we did.
Yes, they didn't have any questions or concerns about your goals, and we also spotlighted all the wetland buffer variances that you saw last year, which was quite a few. So that's important to get that information to the council so that they see, what you've been working on, and I think most importantly, to hear what your environmental priorities recommendations are and your goals, so. And they always express great appreciation for commissions, because can you imagine if they had to do all that detail on their own, you know? Especially like with that Century Ponds proposal and how much time we spent on all those wetland buffer variances.
Yeah, absolutely, and I would, now that, you know, some of the details are coming back to me, I do remember there was an explicit comment complimenting the commission on the work for the climate mitigation plan. So, you know, I did try to take that as an opportunity to indicate there was a lot of input by folks on the commission, not necessarily myself, but that they had put a lot of work into that. It is, which I think was Commissioner Gill and Commissioner Lates, if I'm not mistaken, on the subcommittee for that. Council member Lee, I believe, was the one that expressed that appreciation for that work, so.
Yes, absolutely. So we should be celebrating because, drum roll, they did adopt the climate mitigation plan, which we did start working on in 2023. So this is a huge accomplishment. It did take a few twists and turns along the way, didn't follow our exact plan, but now we have a nice guide that everyone has agreed to, all departments and the city council, and we can move forward with our implementation, which I wanted to announce that the city of Maplewood, we were placed with a sustainability intern from the U of M as part of our participation in the Green Core program, or no, excuse me, Green Leaf program, which is the kind of new Green Step cities, but they help cities work on climate actions. And so they work with students from the U of M working towards an environmental degree. And I met our intern, and she actually came to Waterfest in the morning. Her name is Yufei Chen, and she'll be working with us and focusing on putting together or working towards a dashboard that the city can have on their website that identifies the climate actions that we've already been working on and our goals and so forth. So there's a couple examples of dashboards out there. Most notably, I think, City of Bloomington, Indiana was one, and St. Louis Park in Minnesota here has one. And then also helping with some of those implementation strategies, especially this first year, coming up with priorities and including those priorities in the budget so that we can work on those items next year. And then I really want to thank everyone who participated in that climate mitigation plan. We started out with 22 task force members, and people were really enthused and excited. And, you know, the longer this took, the more people like moved away or, you know, just couldn't make the meetings anymore. So we had our last meeting in January, and I think it was a cold, terrible cold day, but maybe about 6 of us showed up. And so really appreciate everyone that hung on and assisted and collaborated with the city on this. So now the hard work begins, and we will look to everyone, including the city and all of our partners, to, you know, start working on these greenhouse gas emission strategies, which we've already accomplished one. Look at this. So the city of Maplewood received a grant from the Minnesota Department of Commerce for the solar on public buildings. And the Wakefield Community Building had solar installed, and it was just complete and is now online. So it's producing enough energy to offset like 95% of the energy use of that building. And it is a heavily used building from residents renting it. It's rented almost every weekend, well, in the summer for sure. And so this is a great way to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, of course. And the grant covered a majority of the cost. We ended up having to spend like $7,000 for that project after the grant. So I wanted to get your take on the possibility of doing some sort of ribbon cutting ceremony. When I was at this sustainability intern orientation, I ran into someone who works for Clean Energy Resource Teams, and they say they have a giant light switch. So instead of like a ribbon, you turn on this light switch. Kind of fun. But you celebrate this, and you know, you get all the dignitaries there, and you make a big thing of it. And the Department of Commerce would like to be invited, and we could also then kind of spotlight our climate mitigation plan. So it'd be a fun celebration. I'm not sure how to go about it, you know, I'm not sure like a lot of people would show up, but it's more of like a press thing. So what are your thoughts on that? And if you like the idea, when do you think we should do it?
Well, I certainly find it, any opportunity for positive media exposure on the steps that the city is taking to, you know, retrofit buildings or, you know, advance our climate mitigation goals is really opportunities we should try to pursue. I do expect it would likely be more of, like you said, a media exposure event rather than actually having, you know, hundreds of people show up. But I think really those are things that you can get some long-term mileage out of, whether it goes into the city's newsletter, whether it goes, you know, on our webpage or what have you. And you don't have a large window of opportunity for something like that, where in this case, you know, to, you know, not only capitalize on the fact that the solar project is complete and, you know, we know it's, you know, highly offsetting the consumption of energy of the building, but to piggyback and leverage the approval of the climate mitigation plan at the same time, I think is what compels me to find that as a good opportunity. As far as when, you know, I would probably think maybe, you know, early fall, maybe September, something like that, maybe October. I think it might be a little difficult to pull something like that together yet this summer. It's sometimes a long lead time, I would expect, to coordinate that.
If you're trying to do this as a congratulatory, this is, look at our accomplishment, waiting a little bit longer so that way you can actually have some receipts to back up what we're touting would be in our benefit. So, you know, saying how much we're able to generate and contribute back into the grid and all of that, and how it's going to help the building. So it could be something that, you know, the longer you wait, the better.
I agree with, as far as like timelines, giving more timelines for promotion, but I guess from my perspective, like on optics and having actually community members there by chance, regular park users, maybe doing it before the school year becomes in session. I know a lot of kids use that park during the summer, but maybe just try to time that as well. Bring some attention to folks that may use this park every day and have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I was thinking sooner rather than later. I don't think it takes too much to pull together a ribbon cutting ceremony. You just have to make sure the mayor's available. And you have some cameras, right? I don't know. Anyway, I'll work with our communications team and the Department of Commerce, and then Clean Energy Resource team, who has the giant switch, and get some feedback on, you know, how other cities have done this. And I was thinking maybe something like August, you know. But thank you for your feedback, and I'll keep you posted. Okay. And here finally is our proposed calendar. So in July, we'll have that Celebrate Summer event rather than the meeting. And I'm not sure we can do this. I haven't asked anyone from Ramsey, Washington yet, but yeah, we had talked about that stormwater tour starting at Aldrich Arena and going to Wakefield area. So I still have to kind of coordinate that.
I could probably honestly
you want to lead it?
Yeah, it's my neighborhood and I'm familiar with all the projects. Hey, maybe we do the ribbon cutting ceremony. Just combine those two. Let's knock all
It's
things
gonna
out.
be
I'm
a
open to
great
ideas.
summer. Okay. Well, any thoughts on dates for that then in July?
Um,
July's, or August, it could be.
I can get back to you on dates that I know about, out of state.
Well, we'll look at, yeah, I'll work with Commissioner Gill on some possible dates, and thank you for leading that. That's great. Of course, we know that in your professional life, you work with stormwater management, so perfect. And you work closely with Ramsey Washington. That'd be great. All right, and then in August, we have that August 12th meeting, and then there's that Celebrate Summer event that, I'll just put it out there that, you know, commissioners can attend if you're available, but I'll probably be there with, you know, others from our staff, and it's not necessary that everyone's there. But what's your thought on, as far as what would be on the agenda for August 12th? I don't know yet. Yeah, could be. We'll just keep that fluid then. And then in September, we have the meeting on the 9th. And then during this month, you'll see all those RFP review committee meetings. So maybe we want to talk about canceling that, but it's not necessary to talk about that. We're just looking at what we have on the docket currently. And then that final Celebrate Summer event, which is September 18th. And that's in lieu of our usual fireworks event on the 4th of July, which, of course, this is the 250th anniversary of America. So our council at Monday night's meeting, by the way, they did, our communications team's going to kind of roll out an idea to kind of a simple way to celebrate the 250th besides fireworks, which is to submit, were you there for that, Commissioner, or Chair Saunders Pierce?
Which event?
No, never mind. Their idea was to have individuals submit good things that they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep, I remember that. Yeah, it was just basically giving back to your community, you know, a random act of service or kindness to your neighbor, or just even to your local neighborhood. I think was the concept that was brought forward by the
Yeah.
city manager.
right, yeah.
And that would be starting, I think, July 4th and running the rest of the summer. So I think he was just looking for a general, you know, straw poll from the council on whether they wanted to do that. And I think there was a lot of support for that. But it was, you know, like, you know, take a picture and then submit it, or take a video and then submit it, so it all kind of gets compiled into a repository that the city would then, you know, kind of distill and share back.
And hopefully we'll get 250 submittals.
It could
Is
be a
that it?
lot, yeah.
But a way to show how we, as a community, all work together and celebrate our collective, I guess, existence in this community. So, anyway, that was an aside to let you know that we do not have fireworks here in Maplewood, but they are coming in September. And that has been a good system because, number one, we had challenges finding staff to work on 4th of July. A lot of times there was bad weather, or even, I think, one year was poor air quality was an issue. And then the fireworks, you know, it stays light out so late that the fireworks are real late. Here, when you have it on September 18th, you can have the fireworks at 8 p.m. at any rate. And then we coordinated along with that touch truck event, so it's a dual event, and it's kind of fun. And then in October, we have that meeting, October 14th. And then I know the Friends of Maplewood Nature would love to present, to come and discuss how we can work together more closely. And then I thought it'd also be a great opportunity for you to meet our new Natural Resources Coordinator and kind of give an update on what she is doing to manage all of our neighborhood preserves. So that is our calendar. And that is all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Excellent. I am very, it's going to be a very busy summer. And I was glad to see the lineup of the September calendar because it's going to get busy. So I think if we did pursue some kind of ribbon cutting, September might not have been the best for that. So, okay, that brings us to the end of our agenda. I think we are looking for a motion to adjourn our meeting.
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, motion in by Commissioner Late, seconded by Commissioner Schneiderman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, meeting adjourned at 7:17.